Hey everyone, it's Sevy, and I'm very happy to say the Serpent Knights are gone from Abyss. For now. This current Abyss, however, clearly shows its bias towards the current limited 5 stars Wanderer and Ito by its blessing and the comeback of the Golden Wolflord. As usual, this Spiral Abyss guide revolves around general strategies and team advice to counter the specific enemies and patterns in floors 11 and 12. I'll be showcasing teams with all 4-star characters with the exception of Traveler, as I normally do, but if you do have 5-star character upgrades, equivalents, or simply other teams that are just as effective, you should definitely use them. Don't forget to make sure your characters are also built sufficiently, and if you need help, check out my channel if I already have guides on them. Anyway, let's get started. We'll start with floor 11. The Leyline Disorder grants a 75% animo damage bonus, which is obviously to help promote the Wanderer. If you have other animos, this will be a huge boost to them too. So for the first half, I advise having an animo crowd controller to make it convenient in disabling the mobs and to exploit swirling elements against the enemies. Bringing a Hydro unit can also help a lot since we're up against a Pyro Lector. Other elements can still chip its shield, but Hydro is the fastest counter to it. Then for the second half, you can consider having an Electro and Dendro in the team since the Quicken reaction will force the Primal Constructs out of their invisibility. However, that's only for the first chamber and you can still beat them even without Quicken, so this is only optional. Then it's highly advisable to have a good healer and or shielder as those will help you survive the second and third chambers, which can hit pretty hard. Another option is to bring an archer, which can help you disable the flying drakes in the third chamber. This is not required as you don't need to bring them down, though it can help as I'll show later. This first chamber is a defend the monolith type. The enemies here have certain aggro patterns, but if you're using a good crowd controller, it'll be very easy. The first to spawn are a round of small slimes. These will keep targeting the monolith, but it's very easy to kill them anyway.
Our bond is strong. Absorption test.
The second wave spawns specters on either side of the monolith. The group with the Hydro and Pyro specters will aggro the monolith, so you can focus on them first. But try to position yourself so that the monolith isn't directly between you and the other group, so that their projectiles won't hit the monolith. Then you can just wait for the other group to approach you. Their dying explosions can also damage the monolith if they're too near. The final wave has large slimes. However, if you have an animo crowd controller, you can just use your abilities to disable them and even swirl the elements against the other slimes, which should kill them very quickly. The second half has primal constructs that spawn all around the monolith. The two at the left and right sides will fire lasers towards the monolith unless you disrupt or aggro them. I'll draw the attention of one first, then you can try leading it towards the other construct so you can group them.
Surrendering will be gentle.
You're in for a little shock.
You've been a naughty boy.
Try to kill as many as possible before they turn invisible, but if they do, use Quicken reactions to disable or hit its repairing parts with Electro. Or you can just keep damaging them while they're invisible until they're dead, since you can see the numbers or status effects on them anyway.
No rest.
The next chamber starts with 1 Cryo and 1 Pyro Abyss Mage. With an animo unit, you can swirl their shields together to help deplete them. When attacking, approach them from one side to push them into each other. Use counter elements and reactions to get rid of their shields. Next, a Pyro Lector and 2 Hydro Mages will spawn. You can again approach them from one side to push them closer to each other so that your AoE abilities can reach them all. Again, elemental reactions will deplete their shields and they'll be easy to kill once vulnerable.
Absorption test.
The Lector's armor and pyro structure that it drops can most efficiently be dealt with by Hydro and Electro, but to a lesser degree. Just be conscious of dodging the Pyro Lector's attacks. Use the indicators or animation patterns to help with dodging. The second half is just one group of 4 ruin monsters. The potentially hardest part will be survival, since all their attacks can occur at the same time. The drakes will thrash you, the snake will suck you in and deal AoE damage, etc. So if you have a healer or shielder, that will help ensure your survival, but defeating them is pretty straightforward.
You're in for a little shock. Come a little closer. You come a little closer.
Hi! Just like we rehearsed. Come on out!
You're in for a little shock.
For the third chamber's first half, you start with a group of Fatui. If you've brought a crowd controller, you can easily disable and kill everyone using AoE damage. However, I would recommend to first target the Cryo Gunner, since its cryo application can cause you to be frozen or melted. Then dispose of the Mirror Maiden if she's still alive. After that is a group of Shroom enemies. You similarly want to disable them with crowd control before they fly too far. If you're able to keep them all together and attack them AoE, then good. Otherwise, targeting the Hydro and Cryo ones will help prevent you from getting frozen. In the next half, we're up against 4 Skydrakes. This chamber can get painful because of the continuous barrage of projectiles while they're in flight. If you have an archer, you can disable them by hitting the weak points. This is a somewhat slow tactic and also presents some risks if you get hit while aiming. It also relies on good aim, and you'll see I miss a lot of my shots. Anyway, I'm just demonstrating how it looks here. If you don't have an archer, then you can do a combination of exploiting iframes with your bursts, dodging their rockets, using thick shields, and healing a lot to stay alive. If you're using a freeze team, then that will also help with disabling them.
Come a little closer. Try not to enjoy this too much.
Midnight Phantasmagoria.
Just like we rehearsed.
Come a little closer. Let's spark things up a little.
Next up, we have floor 12. Bringing a Quicken team in the first half is effective against the Primal Constructs and Terrorshroom. However, it's not necessary, and just generally having enough DPS can get you through the bosses in this half, so adapt your team accordingly. Then the second half really wants you to bring a Geo unit to counter the Wolflord and a strong healer for the Rifthound Corrosion. Despite the Wolflord being a single target scenario, you will eventually want AoE damage for the last chamber. You can either use a team that can be effective in both a single target and AoE scenario, or use different teams on multiple runs if needed. If you have a well-built triple or full Geo team with Goro in it, then that's a good option here. However, not everyone may have such a niche team built, so I had to get a little creative due to my 4-star limitations. My options were Ningguang, Noelle, or Goro for 4 stars. I opted for Noelle as a Geo unit, on-field driver, tank, and healer. Then my 3 flex slots are a Hyperbloom combo of Xingqiu, Dendro Traveler, and Cookie. It might seem a bit strange, but you can see how it turns out. Entering the first chamber, we're up against the PMA. If it's moving around a lot, don't use your abilities too soon. The best time is to wait until it does its plunging attack for it to stay in place. That's when you can unleash most of your team abilities to do the most damage. Its own attacks have animations and indicators, so dodge and iframe them as much as possible.
Come a little closer. You're in for a little shock. You've been a naughty boy.
Stand clear. Go! Just like we rehearsed. Midnight Phantasm. Animal test 6308.
When it enters into its invulnerable state, it summons these 4 smaller ruin monsters. Look for the one with the shield-like animation, that's the one with the HP bar you need to kill. I've covered this boss in previous Abyss videos, so you might be familiar with the ruin types and what they do. The most annoying one is the crab-like one because of its tankiness. But if you see the one that looks like 3 Doritos, make its back face the invulnerable PMA boss, so that when it dashes backwards, it's conveniently positioned beside it. Once you kill the target, the PMA boss returns to its vulnerable state. It's disabled and has reduced resistance for a while, so that's the window for you to deal the most damage and, with enough damage, destroy it quickly. For this group of enemies, aim for the Geofatui since the other 2 Eremites will just follow you. You also want to kill the Geofatui before it gets its shield up. Deal AoE damage to dispose of them simultaneously as quickly as possible.
Testing my patience.
The last Eremite is a stone enchanter.
Journey ends here.
Spring forth! Rain Cutter, rain outlines your fate. Leave it all to me, as a good knight should.
When its HP is low enough, it summons the Stone Drake. You can either kill the Drake first to stun the enchanter and make it more vulnerable, or just focus fire on the enchanter anyway to kill it ASAP.
Pound it to the ground!
Next, we have 3 Primal Constructs. These can be grouped and dealt with by AoE damage. If your characters have enough damage, you can kill them before they turn invisible. If any of them do turn invisible, use the same strategies as mentioned in Floor 11.
As you wish, main Twilight.
Once the 3 are dead, the Gale Hunter appears. At a certain HP point, it summons a Hawk. Like the previous chamber, you can choose to kill either the Hawk first or the Gale Hunter right away.
Surrendering, Legion.
Where do you think you're going?
Good.
Now we have the Wolflord. At the start of the battle, you can recharge your energy by using your skills while it's coming out of the rift. If you have a ranged character, you can simply start attacking it while it's floating in the air. If you don't, you have to wait for its attacks where it'll end up staying down, and by hitting it whenever it's flying low enough. Its attacks are random though. Sometimes you get lucky and it goes down quickly, sometimes it stays up for a long time. If you think you got a bad run, it's okay to reset.
Let me weave you. Stand with me.
I must leave no stone unturned, as a dutiful maid would.
Dissipate.
Once it reaches about 2/3 or less HP, it will generate a shield and create these geostructures that are easily destroyed by geo-application.
Time to clean up.
Once it's down, you should be able to kill it during its vulnerable window. If not, then just repeat the process. This next chamber has the Terrorshroom. I like to go behind it and just edge bait it there. It can be forced into its enraged state by dealing Quicken, Aggravate, and Spread reactions on it. Once it does, just avoid its attacks, particularly the one where it's charging towards you. Then it'll be stunned and you can deal a lot of damage during that time. then just repeat the process. If you don't have a Quicken team, then simply brute force it with your damage and make sure to keep avoiding its attacks.
Just like we rehearsed. Absorption test. Swirl. Mark 2.
Try not to enjoy this too much. You've been a naughty boy.
Midnight, fantastic.
This final half is made up of Rifthound waves. Edgebait the mobs to make it easier to group them and deal AoE damage. They follow you anyway, so it's convenient.
Scatter.
Witness the power.
If you use Geo attacks, they'll also get a Geo resistance reduction debuff. The biggest challenges are staying alive against corrosion and having to deal with their annoying attack animations. So keep your team alive by healing and deal damage continuously. If you have enough DPS, you'll eventually get your 3 stars.
Germinate.
No, my sword. Rain cutter.
As a good night showed.
This Noelle team is able to easily survive thanks to Noelle's godly healing and tanking while also doing AoE damage against the Rifthounds. She's also on field driving her team to do Hyperbloom reactions. I equipped her with a Favonius Greatsword to ensure she doesn't have any energy problems while also batterying the entire team. And since she's Geo, Noelle fortunately doesn't interrupt with the whole process of Hyperbloom reactions.
Let me weave you.
Leave it all to me. Time to clean up. Someone needs assistance. I'll catch up. Scatter. Germinate.
Rain cutter.
I must leave no stone unturned, as a dutiful maid would.
And that's it for this 3.3 Abyss guide. Abyss cycles that require particular elements to counter can be annoying to work with for those who don't have the ideal units invested. Still, I hope this video helped give you ideas on team and battle tactics. If you're watching this and have already done Abyss, let me know how your runs went in the comments and share your own tips as well to help out others. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all soon. Take care!